Welcome to the Scaling Japan Podcast, a podcast about how to grow your business from $100,000 and beyond in the land of the rising sun.
Welcome to the Scaling Japan Podcast. I'm your host, Tyson Batino, and on today's episode, we have two guests from JETRO. First, we have Yusuke Kaga, who is in the Startup Support Division in JETRO in Japan. He is a Paris Tech graduate in biomedical engineering, and he began his journey in the startup world in a French startup before diving into market research on biomedical corporations across the APAC at the Economist Group. Also, transitioning to a Japanese SME, he held roles as an HR manager, digital marketing manager, and spearheaded project management. So a bit of everything. And joining JETRO furthered his career, where he supports Japanese startups expanding globally and facilitates collaborations between overseas investors and Japanese startups. Second, we have Will Ferguson. And we're very excited to have Will on the podcast. And he is a seasoned expert in fostering international startup growth and expansion. He started as a JET teacher in 2015, and he is now at JETRO San Francisco, helping hundreds of Japanese startups in navigating the complex scene of Silicon Valley. He has helped grow dozens of acceleration programs in partnerships with local startups and accelerators, and brings a unique perspective to cross-cultural business dynamics, being the mentor for both Alchemist Accelerator and an advisor to Berkeley Skydeck, both top startup accelerators in the world. Cool. So I'll let Yusuke go first.
All right, thank you, Tyson, just to invite us as a JETRO member. So I'm really happy and excited to talk about our JETRO initiative to foster the Japanese startup ecosystem in the more global area. And today I'm really looking forward to talk about our upcoming project and our service as well, and our episode as well. Yeah.
Awesome. And I'll go to Will first. For those listening that might not know what JETRO is, I'll let Will explain.
Sure. Yeah. Tyson, thank you for having us both here today. I think it's great opportunities. We have Yusuke from the Tokyo side, and I'm based in San Francisco. So we work very closely together supporting Japanese startups. So I think it'll be good to kind of get both perspectives. But yeah, for those who don't know, JETRO is the Japan External Trade Organization. It's a Japanese government organization with the mission of supporting, fostering cross-cultural investment and trade between Japan and the rest of the world. So we do go both ways. So supporting any companies who are interested to do business in Japan. We help provide a soft landing there, whether it be temporary office space, support with visas, tax inquiries, hiring locally, customer discovery, intros to corporates, everything you could need when you're thinking about doing business in Japan. And Yusuke and I are mostly on the side of JETRO Startup and Innovation. So we help Japanese startups who are interested to go global and go abroad. And, being in Silicon Valley, we get a lot of companies coming here. We do a lot of programs, as Tyson mentioned, about working with the top accelerators to provide mentoring and seminars and support and introductions when the startups come here to Silicon Valley. So there's a lot of education we do, and hopefully helping the companies talk to some customers and get some clients and maybe even investment. But really just helping them figure out how Silicon Valley works and what they need to know, who they need to talk to, and give them all the tools they need to succeed here.
Cool. And yeah, I wanted to get you both on because I've been noticing JETRO has been making a lot more moves now compared to maybe 5 to 7 years ago in the startup space. Yes, I think the listeners will be very curious because there's just so much going on. And I actually want to ask, what ministry is JETRO a part of?
Yeah, JETRO is under METI, which is the Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry. So we are directly under them, get our funding and budgets and initiatives through them. And METI has been doing a lot of initiatives to support startups, innovation ecosystem in Japan. And we are the force that implements all those initiatives and programs.
Cool. For me, it seems like things are accelerating, like things are moving forward much faster. There's much more going on. But was there anything that happened behind the scenes, or is it actually true that JETRO is doing a lot more now in the startup space?
So the reason why we work a lot in the represent of the Ministry of Economy is the Ministry of Economy just give us a budget to achieve the upcoming like a political schedule and a political strategy. And we do like the, on the basis of this political schedule and political strategy, we do the action. So our KPI is on the basis of the governmental plan. So our KPI in our division, together with the Will, we have to increase like a KPI, and KPI stands for like in our division, like to increase the deal between like overseas corporate, overseas investor, and Japanese startup. So that's why we do a lot of the activity for Japanese startup.
That was very interesting.
Just to add on that a little bit, yeah, and kind of address your curiosity, Tyson, if you've been seeing more activity from us. It is true, and being under METI, and like Yusuke said, we're part of the initiatives. There's been a lot more funding going on to really support and grow the Japanese ecosystem. So that means more programs, more support for startups, and really just growing all our programs and all our support for companies looking to expand. So it's no coincidence that as the funding increases, our activity increases, and you think you'll be seeing a lot more news coming this year.
Excellent. Your guys' answers were very interesting. Next question is, why is JETRO special or unique in terms of support?
So first of all, like in Japan, we have a lot of the startup incubator, startup like a supporter to accelerate their business. Of course, inside of the domesticated market like Japan, as well as in the global market. But our featured support is actually the free of charge, because almost all of our budget is from the governmental tax. So that's why sometimes depending on our some of the program, we have to ask the participant to cover like a travel expense or like accommodation fee. But basically, like a mentoring service, like some of the program, it's free of charge. So if the startup participant get accepted to participate, normally the cover of cost is not so much. So this is our strength one. And the second strength point about our service is we have a large network of the global. Like we currently have over 75 offshore offices, and almost every single prefecture in Japan also, we have domestic offices. Like currently over 50 domestic offices as well. And our number of the employee is over 1,700. So collaborating with overseas offices and the domesticated offices, we do the complete services for like customer.
Very cool. Very cool. And yeah, for me, my thought is I don't think the startup ecosystem would develop organically, meaning through like VCs or CVCs. Japanese corporations right now, they're putting a lot of their money into investing in other countries.
Yeah.
Like India, Indonesia. So so I think for me, I think seeing this trajectory or momentum from JETRO is greatly needed, and very happy to see it.
Exactly. So almost our service is free of charge. So that's why, we can negotiate with top accelerator, top venture capital overseas. We can negotiate in the side of the really neutral, because we don't have to ask some of the financial return back to us. So we purely try to collaborate with something collaboration, something like innovation, acceleration in the Japan, So this is our, position of the neutral. So this one could be working positively now.
Yeah, it's a good point because, like Yusuke mentioned, all in general, our services is free of charge, and that includes for companies wanting to go into Japan. But, working with startups, they're often very strapped for cash. So I think that the value we provide to the Japanese startups is that they can come here, come to the US, and participate in these high-level acceleration programs by these, top-ranked accelerators, and yeah, basically cover their flights and their hotel, but being able to participate in these programs and get the high-level quality of mentoring and connections and programming and learning from the top experts about how Silicon Valley works, it's very valuable for them. So yeah, we find a lot of companies coming and taking advantage of that and using it in the best way they can, and really that's what we encourage.
Cool. I'm really glad to see that. Yes, I guess my next question is how does JETRO help Japanese startups?
Right. So just kind of expanding on that. So we have a lot of different programs that we run. One program that's kind of our most open and ongoing program throughout the years called Global Acceleration Hub, GAH. And we do this in many different regions all around the world. So this is for Japanese companies that are looking to expand out of Japan and go into certain markets. And as you can imagine, San Francisco, Silicon Valley area, we get the highest number of applicants. Everyone wants to come here and sort of validate their business model and see if they can really be successful in the US. But we do offer in other regions in Asia and Europe as well, if that makes sense for them. So that's through that program, they'll get access to mentors, industry experts, and they'll also get business meetings as well through potential clients or partners that they could work with. And of course, we encouraging all our companies to come and be in person. We also have a co-working space available for them to utilize and to stay at. So we do everything we can to provide them all the tools to be successful in the U.S. And as these budgets and programs increase, we're just having more and more different verticals, and we have our other program that has been going for a couple of years now called the Global Startup Acceleration Program, and that's the one where we work in different verticals with different accelerators, more targeted. So we work with Alchemist, Plug and Play, Berkeley Skydeck, and some others, and each one of those is very targeted with certain sectors based on the strengths of the accelerators. And as I mentioned before, that really provides a tremendous value to the Japanese startups, and they can get those really high-level programming. And so one of the newer sort of program tracks that we're running is called JSTAR-X, and this is part of the METI's overall initiative to send 1,000 entrepreneurs from Japan overseas in the next 5 years. And JETRO is a big part of implementing that. We're not the only implementer. That's a very lofty goal, and there's a lot of logistics involved in that, and a lot of partnerships and execution of the programs. But we're definitely involved in that, and bringing companies not just to Silicon Valley, but to other markets and other countries, and just really with the focus of global expansion.
Yeah, so our strongest asset is our mentor pool. So our mentor pool is located in 26 or 27 different locations, including North America, Europe, and Africa, up to the South America. So yeah, as Will mentioned, we have a mentor on-demand mentor services for the Japanese startup on-demand, as well as the acceleration program collaborating with the top-tier accelerator. We have a lot of the program right now. So if a listener or Japanese entrepreneur as well as a foreign entrepreneur who lives in Japan, please feel contact to us, and we can suggest some of the suitable program for you, as well as a mentor as well.
And so, with that program of helping Japanese companies, what are maybe one or two case studies, and what are some tips you have for Japanese companies? As we do have Japanese startups as listeners as well.
So normally speaking, when the Japanese startup entrepreneur go to they expand their business into the global market, one problem is that they don't have a connection over there. So they don't know how to do the GTM go-to-market strategy over there. So in this case, we will do some of the warm interaction of the suitable mentor. The mentor is really important for the not only Japanese entrepreneur, but also every single entrepreneur to go to the new market. So thanks to like the support of the guide of the mentors, they can accelerate like their business, how to establish the company over there, how to get connected with a potential customer over there, how to change the business model over there. This is the most important things for like the entrepreneur which go to the new market.
And I would say I have a similar experience. In my case, more for working as a mentor for 500 Global.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really like what you mentioned, like, getting the product right for that market, how to sell it. And the one that I think people don't take advantage of enough of is when hiring a Japanese staff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I see startups like they get good hires, but I rarely see great hires.
So like one of the Japanese startup which offer like the platform of the B2C EC site, they first of all like do like the business in Japan. And yeah, it's a platform. Some of the information is confidential, so I cannot disclose a lot. But first of all, this entrepreneur start a business model in Japan like a SaaS model. So one case study of the Japanese startup successfully to expand their business into the North America from Japan. He offer like the BTC platform, which can be integrated into like the social media service like a Line or the Facebook or something like that. He initially do the business model in Japan, like the SaaS model. And after some of the customer get some of the traction by using his platform, he got some of like the profit in Japan. And he met one mentor from the Bay Area. And the Bay Area mentor says like when he negotiate with the same business model, to like a potential Bay Area customer, like some of the social media provider or like a potential retailer sometimes. I guess, like this business model is not so much suitable in the Bay Area. So he changed a different business model thanks to like the advice of the mentor. And after he changed the business model, sorry, some of the information is a little bit confidential. So that's why we cannot disclose it a lot. And he successfully got a lot of the traction, and he got the contract with a multiple customer over there. This kind of, like a change of the business model, depending on the culture over there, is a really important resource for the entrepreneur. So that's why we always meticulously select the suitable mentors on each different market for the Japanese startup,
One of the common challenges I see with my consulting clients is not having any staff internally who can drive marketing strategy and execution to the next level. This really limits the growth trajectory of a company, especially for a leader like you that wants to go from 30 million to 500 million yen a year and does not have the time to spend years learning through trial and error. To solve this problem, I'm launching a marketing agency that can help companies like yours to increase leads and closing rates through SEO, Google Maps, content marketing, and websites that convert. Head over to scalingyourcompany.com and book a free consultation. Let's talk about what your business needs are, where your current strategy is letting you down, and how we can help you see real results with the methods I've successfully implemented at multiple companies myself. Now, back to the episode. No, I think that's excellent. You might have saved him 1 to 2 years of pain just with the introduction to one mentor.
Do you have any other success case story from your experiences?
Yeah, to sort of expand on that, there's a lot of differences, obviously, between the way business is conducted in Japan versus the US or anywhere else, and a lot of different expectations. So, as I mentioned, a lot of what we do is educational, but um, you know, when the Japanese startups come here, they really have to evaluate how they've been doing things and consider what do they need to do to succeed in the US market. And a lot of the approaches are going to be very different. So, in general, a lot of the companies in Japan tend to be very product focused with lots of features, which can work in Japan. You know, a lot of the customers, the clients, they want that, and that's what sells. In the US, it's very different. If you get feedback, a lot of times they'll see them doing so many different things, and they want them to just focus on one thing and do that one thing well. And instead of being product focused, here it's all about the customer and customer discovery. So we really have to um, help the Japanese companies understand their approach to the US market is going to be very different than what they're used to. And we see they definitely learn very quickly, they adapt, and if you tell them to go do 20 customer interviews by the end of the week, they have it done. So they can adapt very quickly and implement what they've learned and how to succeed in the US. And that just comes from having the strong mentor networks of our partners that we work with and advisors that they assign to the startups. And going through some of these acceleration programs, one of the best outcomes we have is after going through that, then they're encouraged to apply to those startup flagship programs. For example, Berkeley Skydex cohort is accepting some companies from our programs that we run with them previously. And it's great for them when they can come. They do a program, they learn a lot, and then get accepted to these flagship programs that have 1% or less acceptance rate. So that's always very uh, big success for us and for them. And we're seeing more cases like that, which is great.
I think that was an excellent move by JETRO because I think if you didn't serve as like the bridge between those top accelerator programs, it's why there's not so many people in like Y Combinator from Japan. Just the gap is so great. So no, I think that was a really smart move.
Yeah, if anyone happens to be listening from Y Combinator, we'd love to work with you. But please reach out. But anyway, yeah, so we have that pipeline and those strong connections. And yeah, you're right. When the Japanese companies come, they need a little bit more to get started and get ready to be at that stage where they have their MVP in the US and they're getting more ready to be able to have serious conversation with investors or potential partners. So that's sort of the trajectory and where we, encourage all our companies to go.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And I'll move on to the opposite end. For with Yusuke, it's how does JETRO help foreign startups?
Yeah, we also support like a foreign startup to do the soft landing in the Japanese market. So like we sometimes offer like the rental offices our HQ. Our HQ is located in the center of the Tokyo, like Roppongi area. So if some foreign startup has some of the synergy with collaboration with Japanese corporation, and if the foreign startup is accepted, they can use like free of charge rental offices, and we offer like not only the hard but also the soft. I mean, like when they come to Japan, when they prepare for the establishment of the official office in Japan, we can introduce like some of like lawyer or the taxation specialist, and we also offer like talent acquirement as well. And we also have a platform which is called the J-Bridge. J-Bridge is a platform to get connected between like the Japanese corporate and the overseas startup. So the number of the member in this platform is over the 1,000. But 50 or the 6% of the members are actually the Japanese corporate, including the CBC arm, including the strategical business development staff. So sometimes like we can set the one-to-one meeting between the overseas startup and the Japanese corporate. And we do some of the reverse pitch event from the Japanese corporate as well in the multiple seminar. So yeah, we have a multiple program of the inbound support from the foreign startup, which might be interested in the Japanese market to enter.
Cool. Will, do you have anything to add maybe for how JETRO helps foreign startups?
Yeah, we often help support, startups who are interested to go to Japan, of course. Companies of any size, we help from early stage startups all the way up to SMBs and corporates as well. JETRO was part of helping Tesla get into Japan, for example. So usually startups tend to be focusing on their own market, right? They're not necessarily thinking about going global. So a lot of times they may be a little early thinking about that. So it tends to be more like the scale ups who have really proven their business model and are interested to go in additional markets, or they've already done research and know that Asia or Japan could be a good market for them. And that's where we come in to help them explore that and validate that and test it. So that's kind of where we're at in terms of helping startups. We're always open. Anyone's welcome to reach out if they're interested, even if just they're looking for some information. Even if they a little bit too early to consider expanding overseas. We're always open for any inquiries.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Scaling Japan. In addition to serving as your fine host, I also provide advisory and coaching services to business owners who want to 2x, 5x, and even 10x their business. So stop holding your company and your team and your employees back, and let me help you and your company scale. Find more information at scalingyourcompany.com. Now back to the episode. Ooh, and Yusuke, do you have any tips for foreign companies entering Japan?
Yeah, normally when the foreign startup try to negotiate with a Japanese startup, one tips is patience. It takes a lot of the time. Maybe Tyson knows business culture in Japan, and we also know the business culture in Japan. So speed is actually the important factor and a driving force to develop the business in all over the world. But Japan is a little bit specific. Japan, the quality and trust is the most important point. So that's why of course, it could be a little bit challenging and time consuming to start a business in Japan, to expand the business in Japan. But if you got a great connection with the Japanese corporate have a lot of the capital now and have a lot of the potential to collaborate with multiple solutions, because Japan has a lot of the issues, social issues. One, aging society, and another one. So that's why we have a lack of the employees, lack of the working force. So little by little, we don't have a lot of the workforce, so a lot of the Japanese people suffer from the decrease of the services. Of course, now the AI happens, but we always, keep searching for the new solutions from the overseas. For example, the Asana, Asana is a project management platform and services, right? So thanks to JETRO'S support, I don't know so much about inbound support, but Asana came to Japan to start their business for the B2C, B2B as well,
And I think Asana has, I think they're making, or the rumor on the street is that they're putting a lot more effort into Japan.
Yes. And when the Asana tried to start expanding their business into Japan, I have had JETRO supported a lot.
Very cool.
As well as the DoorDash as well,
Now, I think you guys both mentioned some really excellent points that matches my experience. The first one with Will mentioning that, let's say, all startups are welcome to Japan. But usually usually scaling up is usually the best timing, where you have a robust product, you can pay for a Japanese staff, and you're at a point where Japan is actually one of your key target markets. But on the other hand, if you don't come here and you don't at least try or experience it a little bit, you won't know if it's a key target market. So I liked how let's say in terms of being how Jetro keep or like how you said it, well, like you're welcome to come. And I think for some startups, they just need to try. And also, like for startups in the earlier stage, I think if you have a really compelling Japan case, like right now, there's a lot of aging infrastructure created through the bubble period that's starting to break. And so there's one great portfolio company from 500 Global, where they're a Korean company, but they're actually incorporating in Japan because Japan needs it right now more than Korea needs it. And so I think for the earlier stage company, if your case is so strong, then I've seen success cases on that end. And I think Yusuke mentioned the most important point is trust. And so that's kind of one of the things I have to spend a lot of time communicating to founders. It's, let's say, Japan's not here to operate on your timeline. You have to operate on Japan's timeline. And for the listeners, sorry it's a plug, but I'm actually launching a course on how to create a sales pamphlet for the Japanese market, how to sell to Japanese people, coming out in April and May, and it will greatly increase your likelihood of getting a second meeting and not turning off the Japanese corporate in the first meeting. And the first thing I mentioned in the course, Yusuke, is this whole course is just on building trust. So I loved how you said that. But I've been talking too much, and we'll jump into the next question. Will, do you have anything else to add, like on how Jetro helps foreign startups, or how, helping foreign startups in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really important point to kind of emphasize that for any company looking to do business in Japan, you really do have to be cognizant of the culture and how things are done, right? And having patience to build trust is very important. If, startups may be used to, building fast and breaking things, right? It doesn't work that way in Japan. And if you're looking for a case study, you can look to Uber and what happened when they tried to go into Japan and disrupt the taxi industry. It did not end great for them because they didn't do the research on how to enter Japan. And this applies to other markets as well. Like if you're going from the US to Europe, you have to know the target markets, how things work there, and what the expectations are. So in Japan, everything is built on trust. And like you mentioned, you could get the first meeting, but if it doesn't go well, or if there's a mismatch in expectations, or if you come off across it too strong and not very respectful, then you're not going to have that second meeting. And speaking of subsequent meetings, you should expect that you could be all the way up to meeting number 10 before you get a signed contract. So it, works very differently in the US. In the US, you could go meet with a VC, and if it goes really well, you could have a contract in the first meeting. It's happened, but definitely don't expect the same to happen in Japan, especially if you're working with the corporates that tend to be a bit more traditional. So as long as you have the mindset of being patient and respectful, then once you get to that point and get that trust, then you pretty much have that for the lifetime of that relationship.
Thank you for adding that, and I agree 100%. So Yusuke, what do you guys have planned for 2024?
Yeah, the one biggest program from us is actually like Techstars finally came to Japan and to start like a Japan chapter. So like the registration is now open. So if you are entrepreneur, not only Japanese entrepreneur as well as a foreign entrepreneur, the targets, this application is, yeah, please apply for like a Techstars Tokyo program. So the application is open now. And if you are selected, like the acceleration program happens in Tokyo, and you receive like 120K US dollar as an investment, and you can get accelerated your business into the global market as well as in the Japanese market as well. So this big investment acceleration program happens from the next April or next June, July, I think. And yeah, please feel free to apply for that. And one more thing is actually the Berkeley Skydeck. These are of the MOU with the Japanese Imperial University last year. So Berkeley Skydeck also will be of the commitment to the Japanese startup ecosystem incubation. So collaborating with the Berkeley Skydeck as well, they will offer multiple acceleration program, not only for the Japanese startup, but also like really early stage, like researchers as well. So our acceleration program, the target is a really diversified from the next year. Early stage, later stage, vertical, specific one, or like researchers, student. We have a lot of the program we are preparing for any entrepreneurs.
No, I'm really glad to see that you guys are able to get Techstars to come to Japan, even though they are a rival of 500 Global. And the main reason is, yeah, definitely at the early stage, we need to get more equity-based accelerators. I know Antler's here, but I think just having more variety for the startups, because I think a lot of the issue of the earlier stage one, it's often just a capital issue.
Exactly. So like in the previous, our acceleration program is normally the equity free model. So the participation fee is also free, but the accelerator doesn't occupy the equity. So the mentor sometimes, like a little bit confused, but if the mentor can occupy the equity, definitely they have a more motivation to increase their valuation, Yeah, of course, like there are pros and cons between the equity-based and equity-free model of the acceleration program for the entrepreneur. Entrepreneur sometimes is concerned about be occupied like equity, but so sometimes pros and cons. But our mission is to create a more diverse model of the acceleration program. So thanks to all of the players, stakeholders in Japan, yeah, together with Will and the San Francisco team of the JETRO, we successfully start like an equity model of the Techstars program. And yeah, we are currently collecting the precious mentor pool for the Techstars Tokyo program. So we strongly believe that this acceleration program can contribute the innovation in Japanese market as well as in global market as well.
Yeah, because I think the free accelerators, I think Japan has a robust network, or I would say good enough network there. So I think just having more equity-based one will definitely benefit the ecosystem. So for the Techstars Accelerator, there's a few companies that I might want to introduce, but do you know when the application period is?
So application is already open, and the deadline of the application is until the upcoming March 27th, and acceleration start from the July 8th up to like the October 3rd. October 3rd, 2024 is a demo day at Tokyo. Because this Techstars program is collaborating with Mitsui Real Estate Group as well. So like the acceleration avenue is used by like the Mitsui Real Estate Group just adjacent to the Tokyo station. So, and the potential applicants are, of course, sure, Japanese startup. Of course, foreign entrepreneur is also welcome. But this program is not only for the Japanese startup, but also for like foreign startup as well can be applied. So because we would like to create an international cohort, which might be related with the Japanese market as well, So every single entrepreneur which might be interested in the Tokyo startup ecosystem, Japanese startup ecosystem, and to grow up your guys' business into Japan, please apply for that now.
Cool. That's really cool. Yeah, no, I think this interview has been really good. I've learned a lot more about JETRO, I had kind of a basic understanding. So I think this episode will help a lot of at least majority foreign community actually have a better grasp of what JETRO does, at least for the startup side as a whole. Because I think we see the news, but we don't really know what's going behind the scenes. And so I guess my last question is, how can companies reach out to the both of you? And I'll start with Will.
Yeah, definitely. Our tagline is talk to Jetro first. So if you're curious about the Japanese market, or if you're maybe an investor looking for certain startups and certain verticals, we have a startup scouting service where you can go on the platform and search for companies by size and by industry, and we can facilitate those introductions. So whatever kind of company you're looking for, happy to make those introductions. But for me, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or send me a message. Otherwise, the JETRO website is a great place to look for our various programs, and then just reach out. And yeah, if you're having any trouble figuring it out, feel free to shoot us questions.
How about yourself, Yusuke?
So JETRO runs multiple social media. Like that, we have our own LinkedIn, JETRO Startup, as well as JETRO Inbound Service as well. They have a channel. So if you would like to know our services and upcoming event, please follow the JETRO Startup via LinkedIn as well as Facebook as well. We have our own account. And sometimes, we post like upcoming event invitation as well as we sometimes, post English multiple interview article collaborating with a Japanese startup entrepreneur to reach out to some of the potential customer over there. And yeah, I also have my own LinkedIn, and the strength of our JETRO staff is our own connection. So we have a lot of the connection with overseas investor, Japanese corporate as well. So if you have some of the trouble, please feel free to contact me and Will and other JETRO members via LinkedIn anytime. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like to see this national push. I think the cities are working very hard. The staff running it, they're working 24/7, but there's almost so much you can do with that much resources. So I think it really has to come from the national level to get this initial big push. And glad to see you guys doing it. And we'll be putting links to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes. So thank you guys so much. You did a great job.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.